Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Tuesday. Welcome into another edition of the Right Side of Campus. It is December 10th, 2019. Hope we're all having a great day wherever you are. Another rainy, cold day in this area. I got to tell you, we all live, Ryan doesn't live far from me at all. And Donnie, you're not too far either, in the grand scheme of things. It has been an ugly couple of weeks around here, hasn't it? It seems like it's rains every day anymore. I can't remember the last time it was sunny for like a couple of days in a row. Donnie, how you doing?
Yeah, doing good, man. You're right. It would be nice because we're actually getting like mid 50-degree temperatures. It would have been a beautiful night last night without the rain, but hey, it's got to rain. But also, you can say the same thing, Jeff. If it was 22 degrees, we'd have like 6 feet of snow on the ground. So
yeah, true. I mean, the temp's not bad. It's just the fact that like tonight, I know it's supposed to get down to the 30s and snow, so it's very odd weather. Ryan, you're here with me live. Hung out with you last night. Watched that weird mess game down at the Link, or as Booger McFarland called it, Lincoln Stadium. Ryan, how are you?
Good. If you guys haven't heard, with that win last night, the Eagles still are in contention to win the NFC East. Not sure if you knew that. Joe Tessitore. I'm not sure if he.
He literally
showed that graphic like 12 times.
Yeah, it was literally. I don't understand. I get like you have to say it once in a while, but like he literally said it 25 times.
I think they actually said it like every time the Eagles opened a possession. Before they got the 1st and 10. I'm like, good
Eagles are in if they win out.
It's like, God, we get it.
We all know, dude. You've told us, or like just say it every like quarter at the start of every quarter or something. It was really wild. But welcome in. Hope you're all having a good day. As I said, I am the big man on campus. Ryan D'Amico's below me. Up top is Donnie Rightside. We got another edition of the show. If you're out there, please retweet it on Twitter. Get it out. Maybe tell your friends about it. If you're on the show currently, make sure you say hello and hit the like button. We've got a lot to talk about today. We'll get into some headlines. We get some good ones there. We also we'll take a look at last night's game. What did we miss? What did we see? Maybe even take a look out next week. We got a little buy or sell that Donnie Rightside got created for us. And we'll also take a look at a college basketball game tonight. Louisville and Texas Tech in a neutral location. We'll get to all that and more. All right, let's get to the headlines here. Donnie, how was your night last night?
An odd night because I wasn't really excited for the football game. You saw the crowd wasn't going to be that excited because it's raining and people really didn't want to go down to the football game. And how it started, I'm saying to myself, because you go through the gauntlet as fans, right? You say like, all right, game's on. Let's see what happens. Oh, my God, they stink. Tear it all down, which they should anyway. There's no point in it. But then you always get back to saying, you know what? God damn, it's fun beating up your little brother Giants all the time. And the final score, I actually really enjoyed the late third quarter, early fourth quarter, cheering for Boston Scott at 11:15 when everybody else in the Delaware Valley was probably asleep thinking the Eagles lost anyway.
Yeah, it was a weird night. A lot of weird. I mean, the game for the most part was horrific. I think for a neutral out there, if you watched the game, you probably turned it off. I mean, not for nothing. If you were an Eagles fan, would you have watched that game last night?
No, and they kept trying to hype it up like Eli. Oh, man, Eli's back. Eli was so trash last night. I can't wait to start digging into that.
Well, and if he faced a competent cornerback, I mean, he doesn't really do much of anything last night. But all right, let's get into the show here. We'll start out with some morning headlines. First thing is first, the Patriots. How could they not be the number one topic of conversation today? But again, we've all seen this before. I mean, we all know what this team's all about. To try to act like you were filming a advanced scout thing for some show you do. And I will confirm they do a show. I've watched that Do Your Job show. They did it with like a chef before. It's actually kind of interesting, but this is like, so you can't do that at your own stadium or your own practice facilities. What are you doing it in, another team's for? This is typical Patriot stuff. They got found out, they got called out, and, we kind of know what this team's up to. Again, I've talked before, you and I, Donnie, about, look, sometimes you do what you got to do until you get caught, and then you don't do it anymore, and you wait for a while, and then you do it again. This is a scofflaw team. This is all they do. A scofflaw, Donnie, is someone that continuously does stuff when they know it's not correct, and they'll get tickets their whole life. Remember when Tony Soprano kept putting that boat outside of that Alan Sappingsley's house? His wife said, "For God's sakes, Alan, he can keep paying these $200 tickets till he's blue in the face." And that's kind of what the Patriots do. You do something, you give them a slap on the wrist. You never really give them a real punishment, and they're going to do it again. This is typical Patriots, Donnie. No surprises here.
Yeah, how about this? You're right, Jeff, because in the NFL, money doesn't matter. We're going to find Bill. If you remember correctly, when they fined Bill Belichick $500,000, Robert Kraft renegotiated Belichick's contract and gave him a pay raise enough to cover that $500,000. That doesn't matter. You know what's going to matter next year? You know, if I'm the commissioner, Jeff, I sit back and I know the NFL, rest of the teams are seething. You know what I tell them next year? Just like in the NCAA, Jeff. Patriots, bowl ban next year, no playoffs. Play next year, have fun, go 16-0. You have no shot to make the playoffs next year. I would drop the absolute hammer. It's so egregious what they did. It doesn't even make sense. If you are already in hot water for the most cheating franchise of all time, you're going to send a separate scouting service on the road to do a documentary that's not about football, but about people working, that says, I'm going to film the other team's sideline because our advanced scout stands on the sideline. Are you kidding me? Complete ridiculousness.
I will say, though, if you're a fan of the Patriots, you have to say, wow, at least we know we never are going to take an opponent lightly. I mean, there's no real need to scout the Bengals. I mean, you know what they are. They're a bad team. But Belichick and that staff doesn't leave any stone unturned. But, yeah, I agree with you, Donnie. You got to lay the law, but it doesn't look like they're going to. Ryan, I'm sure you'll anchor the same sentiment here. This is typical Patriots. Cheat and get away with it.
Yeah, not a whole lot to really say when it comes to this. Yeah, I mean, you would expect the NFL, and it sounds like they expect some sort of ruling to be done as early as this week. So I'm hoping we get to hear something relatively soon here regarding this situation. However, yeah, I mean, I was watching when I got home from like you said, we watched the game together last night. I got home and I turned on ESPN. Scott Van Pelt, who I actually enjoy his show, probably one of the only shows on ESPN I like. However, I digress. He was saying, think about it. Do you really think that the Patriots need to cheat and scout and steal signs from the Bengals? Come on. And I'm thinking to myself, probably not. However, the way that they're playing right now, I'm not sure that they're going to take anyone. They're going to take anyone lightly. Plus, it's not the first time this has happened, and I think that's the bigger cause for concern. If this was the Bills, I think we would just be like, okay, it is what it is. People have done this sort of thing before. Being that it's the Patriots makes it all the more problematic.
This is from the beginning of the Belichick era, and I know people will, certain people in the chat will knock me for this, but I think you guys will understand my point here. There has been no more vile organization. I mean, look, they win, and I'm not going to knock how they win, and they're great on that sense. But from an ethics standpoint, this is one of the most vile organizations in sports. I mean, the things that they do, the things that they put up with, the things that go on off the field that they've been a part of, the fact that, Donnie, you look at their owner and some of his transgressions, when it all comes down to it, the collective of things that they've done as an organization is pretty vile as a group. I mean, they have done more shit off the field than anyone.
No, it's disgraceful because it's about the spirit of competition. And let's not forget, this is before they even go caught in like Spygate, the taping of walkthroughs before the Super Bowl, where teams are going through their specialty plays to make sure they're ready. The Philadelphia Eagles, who played in a Super Bowl versus the Patriots and had that offense on lock, all of a sudden in the second half, every single sign and every single play call in the defense was sniffed out. Every time the Eagles brought a blitz, the Patriots countered with a screen pass. It was outrageous. And the fact that they can just say, even Bill Belichick, who knows where every single paper clip in that building and organization had no idea that the Patriots are sending teams, their scouting department, on the road to film their own scouting department on the sideline. And nobody in the organization said, you know what, guys, we already got caught up. We're ready to get banned. Do you think this is the best thing to do, to film the opposing sideline because you have a guy on the sideline for a do your job video on the website? It's the biggest shell game of all time, Jeff. Drug dealers, what do? How do they launder money? Hey, they own a laundromat. They own a bar down the street. This is exactly what they did. The perfect facade to hide by, because you know what you can fall back on? This is for our website. It has nothing to do with our team. Are you kidding me?
Why are you even credentialing them? Like, what are you doing? Like, were they just there, like, random? Why were they even there?
Advanced scouts are allowed to be at other teams. Advanced scouts aren't allowed to videotape the other sideline. Like they said, the same thing with baseball, Jeff. You send multiple scouts and say, hey, man, Garrett Cole's curveball is really working. Here's what it is. But you know what they're not doing? Filming the catcher to make sure they get like a tell or a sign. You can't do that.
Yeah, you got to drop the hammer on these shitheads.
Why do I get the feeling too that when this ruling comes out, I'm just going to give one big eye roll? I just have
to be like, we fined him $1 million last time. Let's make it $2 million.
Yeah, it's going to be. I have a feeling it's going to be something just absolutely ridiculous. Nothing that's nothing that's going to fit the crime here, so to speak. So I just have a feeling that it's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, again, as Mrs. Sappingsley said, I mean, they can keep paying these fines forever.
Because it gives them a benefit. And the question is, well, what do they do they do it to everybody. It's not just the Bengals game. They're going to be next week doing the same exact goddamn thing, man.
What does money even? What is fining a team even?
Zero.
I mean, really?
It's zero. And when they're really good, they fine them a first-round pick, which is the 31st pick in the draft. Get out of here, man.
And as we know with the NFL, pretty typical with them with punishments are generally way off. This is why the NFL hates them. That's well said. Sure. Another NFL story. This was kind of kind of random, but I just wanted to bring it up just because it's fascinating. Donnie, Ryan, Jane Slater. She's a reporter for the NFL Network. She corresponds. Beautiful woman, very nice looking.
Funny story.
She commented the other day about, I guess, Albert Breer, who is another reporter. She was countering a tweet from Albert Breer, who said that his wife had no problem with receiving a Peloton. And she basically told the story, Donnie, about how an ex-boyfriend of hers became her ex after they both got Fitbits for Christmas. We synced them up, motivated each other. And then she found that at 4 a.m., though, his physical activity levels were spiking on the app. Now,
classic.
I guess he could be working out at that hour, but it's likely that he wasn't. I guess she put two and two together and found out that he was cheating on her, and he's now an ex. That's kind of wild. I mean, there's always, whether you watch these cheater shows or whatever, you always find these amazing ways that people go to cheat on someone or to find the people that are cheating. But this one's kind of lax by this guy. I mean, you got to be a little bit smarter to realize, hey, wait, maybe I should take the Fitbit off and put it in the car or something. Wild story here by her. That's kind of sad, isn't it?
It's actually pretty funny when you go back. I mean, because she's saying like her other ex-boyfriends were getting pounded from people like, I can't believe it was you, and it wasn't this guy or that guy. She seems like she's pretty entertaining on her timeline. A lot of these women beat writer reporters, they got a lot going on. They're kind of funny when you take a look at the outside stories and they share a story like that. She's probably a pretty cool girl, man. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I think you got to be willing, Ryan, sometimes just admit, you kind of got embarrassed. Yeah, you got.
Yeah, he definitely did, for sure.
But hey, listen, we all get embarrassed. I mean, I last night I was sadly hacked by people on Twitter, inexplicably. I don't know what went on.
How'd that happen?
I don't know. I've never been hacked before, but for whatever reason, some hackers were like saying shit about the Eagles, stuff that I would never utter. Mm-hmm. I don't know what was going on there. You saw that, Ryan. That was sad. Well, inexplicably hacked.
What was said? What was said?
Stuff like that. I hate the Eagles and I'm done. I don't know.
Who was it? Mike B? I think Mike B got a hold of your.
Yeah, I don't know. Twitter. Somebody got a hold of it. They were tweeting stuff that was not true, and I've never said nothing like that, and I would never. I would say that right now. I genuinely dislike this team right now. Well, but we'll get into that.
And you can knock me for that if you want, but this season's been terrible.
We'll get into it in just a second. A couple other headlines here today. Steven Strasburg signs a gigantic contract. It goes to wonder, how much will Garrett Cole get? Steven Strasburg gets a 7-year deal worth $245 million. He's a long way away from San Diego State, but here he is. Donnie, by the way, sneaky San Diego State. They're a sneaky school as far as high-level athletes, aren't they?
Yeah, who wouldn't want to go play baseball in San Diego, though? That's the place to be.
Just
Tony
like in
Gwynn
general,
coaching
like
him.
Marshall Falk and Kawhi Leonard. They got a sneaky good school, Ryan, for the size. But yeah, I mean, as Ryan, you know, I've been there a few times. Donnie, one of the most beautiful campuses you'll ever go to. I mean, those kids, I mean, it's a wonder they're always in good moods. It's a wonder why.
They also gave us the wonderful Donnell Pumphrey, too. Can't forget him.
True.
Tremendous.
True. Forgot about that. But yeah, beautiful place out there. But yeah, the San Diego State kids getting paid. What's this work out to? About 35-ish million a year.
35, I think. Yeah,
it's a nice chunk of change every year. Donnie Rightside.
Yeah, you know what's funny about it too? I keep on reading this stuff, and they started this with Bryce Harper. You got to figure if you own a baseball team, you have a lot of money. But it doesn't seem like every time Washington offers a big money contract, like you have to accept like payment 10 years later than when it's due. Like the Yankees don't mess around like that. Big like the Phillies aren't messing around like that. It's kind of interesting where Bryce Harper's like, dude, you're going to pay me $300 million and you're going to pay me over like the next 50 years. This one, Strasburg also takes deferred money where he's not going to get the full payment until after 2030. It's odd. And Rendon, the interesting part also is they're trying to keep Rendon. Rendon actually declined it, said he will not accept deferred money, so he's probably out of town.
I actually wouldn't mind this because he's going to get paid for fucking ever. He's already got a ton of money anyway, so it's not like he needs the money.
$80 million deferred, but also
but that means he's going to get paid to like 24.
Yeah, but when you're talking about investing with that much money, you want your money up front so you can have your money work for you there. It's not doing anything over those 10 years. But then again, if you negotiate like a Bobby Bonilla thing where it says like, hey, look, you got to pay me more money on top of it because that's why I'm deferring it. That's a really smart move.
Sure. Yeah. And it's baseball's wild. You've got to figure, I mean, you would think a Garrett Cole gets like I don't know, 8 years.
He's going to get close to 300. He's going to get close to 300. Yeah, for sure.
That's
the winner in all this is Scott Boras. I mean, he's just sitting back laughing.
I'm actually surprised these guys are signing early because last year when he had the whole charade of just dragging it out into, I think baseball probably clamped down. So that's just ridiculous for like the fan bases. Because even if you got Strasburg in the fold, let's just say, Garrett Cole signs early. Like if he goes to the Yankees, you want him in before Christmas. You want the hype. You want the jersey sales. You don't want to be showing up March 17th.
It's how free agency should be.
Yes,
I mean, it's like
exactly
it's like it in every other sport. It's go as soon as it starts. And I mean, Christ, last year was just unbearable, going all the way into almost March. Like, come on.
Someone tweeted last night about go tell your kids to pitch and be pitchers. Listen, you got a kid, make him be an agent. That's where you fucking make money. It's how much Scott Boras is worth? $500 million.
Oh, sure.
Yep. And doesn't do shit. He doesn't have to fucking work out. He doesn't have to fucking get in shape. He doesn't have to hit a baseball. He doesn't have to get hit in the head with a fucking 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Doesn't have to worry about anything.
Or tell your son or daughter just to be really friendly with the best athlete in the school, and then he can hook you up down the line as being an agent.
Or just that too. Or just
Maverick Carter's a genius. Maverick Carter was best friends with a guy who's going to be the best player of all time. That's the move, not because he's so smart.
Exactly. All right, one more here. Odell Beckham Jr. is in the news again, as usual. Listen, Ryan, we've talked on the show before pretty candidly about this guy. I think he's the most overrated player in the league. I think he's the most overrated receiver we've ever seen. He's had like a couple of those like really amazing catches, and we make him out to be, you know what he is, Ryan? To me, the Zach LaVine of the NFL. That's what he is. Like he dunks and looks cool and whatever, but
Aaron Gordon,
he's a flimsy fuck who doesn't do shit. He has never won a big game.
He reminds me of Russell Westbrook. That's who he reminds me of.
No, Russell Westbrook's a baller.
Good, really good player.
But he puts up
doesn't win anything.
Russell puts numbers up
wherever he goes.
But he puts up numbers.
Okay, let's. I get that. Odell does too, but you have to understand. I mean, Odell's been hurt this entire season, playing through the same injury that Deshaun Jackson has played through.
Yeah, we know. He's always hurt.
Look, I don't like Odell Beckham. I don't. I don't like him as a person. I don't like the way he carries himself. I don't like the diva persona that he is. But he is a very, very good wide receiver. And I hate to say it, but you're foolish if you think otherwise.
Yeah, I don't put him up there with any high. He's a good player. I don't put him up there with
wide receivers in the NFL right now. He's top 5. He's top 10.
No, top 10. He's not top 5. Top 10.
He's injured. I don't know if he's top 10 even. He's injured, and it's clear. So I don't put him in the top 10 this year.
He's a good receiver, but he's not a transcendent receiver. I don't have to have him.
He was, but you're not going to keep up with it. I mean, look, he had the perfect storm. He had Eli Manning, who, again, wants to get rid of the football, so he will throw it 35 times in your direction, no matter what the case. And he fed off that. And when you're on a bad football team, what are you doing in the second half? You're losing. You're adding up. Remember, like we talk about, oh my God, did you see that one-hand catch? Yeah, they still lost the game to the Cowboys. That was the point.
Well, again, his comments recently were that he's fine in Cleveland. He's enjoying it. But according to Jay Glazer, he's been telling opposing players and coaches before and during games this season to come get me, according to Glazer.
Thomas.
Yeah. The analyst added that the Browns were not on a list of destinations he wanted to go to when the New York Giants traded him.
No kidding.
Listen, I can't knock the guy for that.
Who wants to go to Cleveland? You live in New York City. You're going to Cleveland. Good Lord.
I'm not sure if you guys have ever been to Cleveland. I have.
No.
It's not an enjoyable city.
Yeah, it's probably
like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Is it ever sunny? It just never seems sunny there either.
Yeah. It seems like it seems like going to like Trenton or Harrisburg. Yeah. That's what it seems like.
Newark.
It's just Newark or like I feel like that's how all those like cities are, like Des Moines and Indianapolis. Like they're cool and they're cities, but they're not like big cities.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff he's probably upset with too. Because remember in New York, like he'd love to go out to the clubs and have like 30 or 40 guys watch him dance with his shirt off. Maybe you don't get that in Cleveland.
Listen, I will say about Odell Beckham, I'm not a big fan of him on the field. I don't think he's as good as he acts like. But listen, he's a guy that if I were him, he's made a ton of money in the NFL. He doesn't seem really ever interested in actually playing on the field. Why not just like take all your money and go get rich doing something else? Like I'm not kidding here. Like
go chill on a boat with all your buddies. Like
in the
winter,
winter,
and put your money into businesses that you actually have a passion for. To me, he comes across as a guy who doesn't really love football. He does it because it pays him a wage and he makes a ton of money, but I think outside of like the circus catches before the game with his big headphones on and his cleats and shit, I don't think he really cares about football.
Yeah, I bet it's a good point you bring up because he cares a lot about the ancillary activities around football, like being a star, fashion, look at my cleats. I mean, he was the first one to do the, I'm going to have like Christmas presents on my cleats around Christmas, and that caught on. If you asked him, it's like, hey, Reebok's going to hire you for $10 million a year just to be their advocate for,
it's very fashionable.
For fashion, he would be like, you know what? I'm going to retire today. This is my dream job.
No, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I get him from that standpoint. Like I think he'd be like a terrific Karl Lagerfeld type, where he's like, where he's like a designer. He's like creating shit. Like
did you watch it? There was a good. Did you watch the Ralph Lauren? I
have not
on HBO. It's very good. Yeah, that's what I thought you might have been going there. Yeah.
You also have to understand too. I mean, let's be honest here. Whether he, you can talk about whether he loves the game, whether he doesn't. He's consistently, since he's been in the league, been on a losing team.
Put him on the Niners next year. Watch out. Watch out.
I mean, I'm not saying like he goes to a contender, he changes his ways. I'm not saying that, but
Eagles.
You never know. Considering I don't know, but I mean the fact that since he's been in the league, he's been on a losing team. I mean that has to take its toll for you after a while. I mean, he has money, he has girls, he has this, he has that. But at the end of the day, I mean, you're going through practice every week, and then on Sundays you're just getting your ass kicked. As a team every week, it has to.
I don't even know if that even bothers him though. Like as long as he thought his cleats looked clean,
I don't think
he was giving away shit to like Tom Brady after the game. I don't think he cares what goes. As long as he gets his, and before the game he makes a couple cool one-handed catches while the press is watching him. I think that's what he cares about.
I agree with Donnie. I don't think he cares much about football personally. He doesn't ever seem to be really that. And he doesn't care whether he wins or loses, and his stats are good because that just gets him paid. But like, I don't think he generally cares about winning and losing. For a long time, Donnie, I don't know if I've ever said this to you, but obviously it changed, kind of after he left Cleveland. But for a long time, I didn't feel like LeBron James really cared about winning. Like it seemed like he was just like, I want to be rich and I want to be like the best,
I don't know. After he left Cleveland, you're talking about?
The first time?
I guess it just felt like
I think that's why he went to Miami.
When he went, I love the move to Miami because it actually showed like, look, I can't do it by myself here in Cleveland. I want to win. And he did. The move to the Lakers is the one everybody bashed saying, Like, dude, you're going to LA. You didn't even go to the best situation. Now he might end up winning
but off
a
and on
championship.
In his career, he's seemed like that, where he doesn't care necessarily about the team and the winning. It was, what can I do and go? I don't know. Certain points.
I don't know about that.
Well, again, as I said, Ryan, if you listen, certain points in his career. Ryan loves LeBron James, so
I do, and I completely disagree with that statement. But it's my opinion. So
no, at points during his early career, it seemed like he was just trying to build himself up, and he didn't really necessarily care about winning the game. He was just okay with where he was.
So when he was drafted by the Cavs, is that what you're saying?
Like the first 2 or 3 years, and then he decided, you know what, I'm gonna, that probably early.
He basically carried that team. So
yeah. But either way, Odell Beckham's a new Antonio Brown. That's way off. I don't know about that. Antonio Brown loves football. I just think he's a freak and a lunatic.
He is.
All right. Do we have any other stories here? No, that would be the last one. Any other stories you guys want to bring up that you saw that were interesting?
Not really.
Not off the top of my head, no.
Great.
We're going to get into some interesting stuff, though.
Yeah. All right. Before we do that, though, let me just quickly tell all of you about BetOnline. BetOnline, one of the books in the business. Now, Donnie, I know you can comment on BetOnline.
Yes.
You've got to have BetOnline if you're a sports bettor on a regular basis. You just do. It's one of those books that just, is always going to get the lines up to you early. They're always going to make it, kind of the first priority to get ahead of the curve. Put them out there, let you bet on them quickly. You can bet with Bitcoin. You can fund your account different ways, and you're going to get some bonuses. Make sure you look at the rollover requirements. But again, with BetOnline, really the kind of the top of the business as far as offshore books are concerned. They're kind of the go-to when you're referencing, when you're working with customer service. BetOnline has you covered really with everything. You can bet on anything there: horse racing, basketball, soccer. Whatever you want. They've also have futures, and as I said, you can get your money quick and easily. So go check out BetOnline right now. There's a link in our description here on the video where you can frequent that and add to your arsenal, or just kind of get into the game in the offshore business. Go check out BetOnline. All right, guys. Last night.
No, before because I want to break down this game fully. Can we do buy or sell before we do the Eagles game?
Sure.
All right. Ready?
Why, though?
Because this is going to ruin my favorite buy or sell if we go over this game. I want to get out of the way first.
We'll switch it up. Give me a question and give Ryan a question, blah, blah, blah.
Now, my favorite thing last night, and I'm watching the game, and I'm up way too late. I'm never up this late. But I was so fired up and so excited to see that Eli Manning is under 500. And I did a lot of digging last night and got a ton of responses back when I was just firing stuff out there. It's a simple question, Jeff, and I'm going to start with you on this one. Buy or sell Eli Manning to the Hall of Fame?
Yes, I buy that. Donnie, you have to understand all the work you're doing is good work, and I know what you're going to say. Mm-hmm. Eli is an average quarterback. I get that.
No. He's not average because he's played along. He's a good NFL quarterback.
Okay, so there you go. Mm-hmm. The one thing though is he's won 2 Super Bowls. Okay, and that puts you ahead of a lot of other people. It just does. Is he a guy that I think of when it comes to great quarterbacks? No. I think he's just an average guy, and luckily he won 2 Super Bowls. But yeah, I think the fact that he won 2 Super Bowls puts him in.
How long do you think he'll have to wait? Because you don't think he's first ballot Hall of Famer. Correct?
No, surely no. I don't know, years probably, but I think he'll get there. And plus, it doesn't hurt that who his family is. It's kind of that lineage and that kind of thing.
Why does that factor in? That's my whole argument on this.
Because the NFL is a connected type of business.
Like if you take the Hall of Fame, like for me for Hall of Fame, it might be different somebody else. When I watch a player, like I got to be like, holy shit, that fucking guy is amazing. Like that's Adrian Peterson. Like you watched Adrian Peterson, you like, good Lord, this guy is outrageous.
I agree, Donnie.
But when you look at it, and again, because there's arguments on both sides, but when you take a look, 16 years in the NFL, you have to go a whole body of work, right? Career passing rating, 84. As I did like yesterday, there was 13 guys that have, 27th in the NFL if you took that right now. You're talking about a guy, quarterback position, which can lift you up. Is there a pitcher in the Hall of Fame that has an below average, like an under 500 record? It doesn't even I can't even compute of why. And you're right, because it comes back to he has 2 rings. Well, how about John Taylor, wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers, has 3 Super Bowl rings and caught one of the biggest touchdown catches of all time to lift them up in 1987 over the Cincinnati Bengals. Shouldn't he be in the Hall of Fame? He's got
the
3
thing is,
rings.
though, and the thing is, though, I agree with your points on the Hall of Fame stuff. Every sport is now allowing certain people in that maybe are good. They're not transcendent or anything like that. I agree with you on that. And I think if you're making that case, no, he should not be in. But I've said this to you, Ryan, and I've said this to Donnie Rightside. If you can explain to me how Joe Namath's career stats put him in the Hall of Fame, I'd like to hear from you. Joe Namath's career stats were laughable. Look them up. Donnie, I've asked you to look them up. Have you done that before? You've looked Joe Namath's.
But it also, like, I agree with your stance on that. But that's also like 50 years ago. You can't take a look at like home runs from now, from like the 1920s.
But if Joe Namath didn't, do some stuff off the field, didn't have that bigger than life personality, and he won a Super Bowl.
I mean, it's basically the guarantee that is etched his name in stone was the guarantee in Super Bowl III against the Colts.
Right,
that's basically what has kind of.
But if you're using Donnie's
player that he is,
Donnie's thoughts,
of
he
course,
wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame either.
Right, and there's always going to be those people that are in the Hall of Fame, and regardless of
like Terry, the always one that comes up also Terry
belong.
Bradshaw. Like Terry Bradshaw was a really good quarterback. He doesn't have the numbers, but he won 4 Super Bowls and he's in. But that was a lot different graded back then. Like you take a look at some of the quarterbacks. Like when you watch Aaron Rodgers, you go, God damn it, he's one of the best I've ever seen. I've never one single time watched Eli Manning and be like, phew, the Giants would be nothing without Eli Manning. That's 16 years of mediocrity. Like look at his stats. 84 passer rating for a career. Oh my God, he was so clutch in the playoffs. 228 yards per game in the playoffs. 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Like he didn't put them on their back. The defense put them on their back. And if he was Eli Smith from the Jacksonville Jaguars, as I tweeted out, it wouldn't even be a conversation.
No, I agree.
Both years they won the Super Bowl, they're 9-7, and the defense goes on kind of a nutty run.
Like you want to give him a ring because he threw a punt. Yeah, he threw a punt up in the middle of the field that somebody caught with their helmet. Or if he had one sensational pass versus the New England Patriots, you're going to put him in the Hall of Fame for that? Come on, man.
Let me ask you, Donnie, off the subject, but it's a different sport.
Yeah.
Do you think Vlade Divac is a Hall of Famer? Because he is. Like, I like Vlade.
Basketball is the worst Hall of Fame of all time. Every single person, their brother gets in.
Do you think he's a Hall of Famer?
No, because I don't watch. To me, the Hall of Fame is if I turn the TV on and be like, this guy is one of the best players I've ever seen. Like, that's Hall of Fame to me, not just letting everybody in.
Let me ask you guys a couple NBAers. Do you think these guys are Hall of Famers? Yeah. Ryan, do you think Steve Nash is a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I would put Steve Nash in.
Me too.
Yeah.
Great point guard. Donnie, Ray Allen.
Yes, absolutely.
Tracy McGrady. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
That's a tough
great player, but only for a couple of years. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's a tough one.
Dikembe Mutombo.
No.
But what he's done for basketball is pretty helpful too, though, in his Africa and stuff.
Yeah, but I just go by on the plane.
You got to go by the playing field. Yeah.
But I think it's a total. I think it's a total culmination. Like they put it all together.
Well, yeah, I think with the NBA or the basketball, it's not the NBA Hall of Fame. It's basketball. So if you were really good in college, like Carmelo Anthony would get there, but a big boost for Carmelo Anthony is he won a tight national championship.
But I think a lot of the NBA has to do with you're off the court meaning to the game as well. Where you look at like Divac, he's done a lot in the Balkans as far as that. Dino Raja, Donnie, who played for the Celtics, he was Croatian. He played on that Drazen team.
That's what I mean. Yes, yeah. Like but you're also going to get a lot of international stuff, like playing overseas and playing in Olympics. Like they look at
take all that into consideration.
They do.
Yep, they take all of it in.
Do you like that? I like that actually.
It's a very watered down thing, but yeah, I don't have a problem with the NBA or the Basketball Association.
So Ryan D'Amico, do you think Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer?
I don't know. I've been on that stance for a long time. I mean, us three probably more than anyone. I mean, a guy that's in our division anyone that likes the NFL knows that, outside of your team, divisional games are the games you watch more than any other, teams in the league. And so, I mean, I've seen Eli Manning a lot, an awful lot. And I just, like Donnie said, I just don't see it when I watch him. And he had some nice runs in the playoffs. And look, don't get me wrong, 2 Super Bowls and 2 Super Bowl MVPs. And I think that's kind of where people are going to look and say, look, he won 2 Super Bowls. And he has 2 Super Bowl MVPs, which I think is like 4th or 5th most in NFL history. So I just think when people are going to look at the numbers and the accolades, I guess is the correct word, and probably put him in at some point. But me personally, I don't. But
all right, what else we have, Donnie?
Yep, 4 more left here. Number 2 in the NFL. This is the hot topic, which comes up once every 15 years when a division struggles, and everybody always like, let's shift for the 1% that happens instead of the 99% that doesn't happen. Reseeding in the NFL, Ryan, do you agree, buy or sell, that they should reseed based on the actual record as opposed to if you won the division?
No, I don't. Then why have divisions?
Exactly. How about you, Jeff?
No.
Go ahead, Ryan. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I mean, and just to take that one step further, people like to say, oh, this team, they're 9 and like the NFC East this year. They're going to get to host a playoff game. What a travesty. Let's just call a spade, whether it's the Cowboys or the Eagles that win. If the Vikings or the Niners or the Seahawks can't go into one of those 2 places and win, you don't deserve to be there. You're not going to go to the Super Bowl. You're not going to win the Super Bowl. If you can't win those games, going to Philly or going to Dallas and win against 2 teams that are absolutely struggling right now, you don't deserve to be there. So, no, I'm good with the way it is, because this only happens every so often. I mean, the last time it happened, what was that Seattle team, right?
Yeah, 10 years ago, over 10 years ago. Exactly. No, because even when you try to reseed, because then where does it stop here? Let's just say, because you have the NFC West right now, which is outrageous. You might get a team that's 12-4 and doesn't even get a home game. So what happens if the Packers finish at like 11-5 and get a division? They win the division, so they get the bye week. Do you switch that up, and now the team that didn't even win the division gets the bye week? It's completely nonsensical. Number 3, this is one of my favorite ones here, because it looks like this is going to happen. A head football coach is going to win 3 out of the last 4 NFC East titles and take his team into the playoffs, which is Jason Garrett. If you're talking about right now, I don't see any pathway right now that the Eagles are going to beat the Cowboys, which means they're going to win the division. Can you fire a head football coach that won the division 3 out of the last 4 years? And will it happen? No. Buy or sell, Jeff? Jason Garrett gets fired.
Sell. He's not getting fired, okay? There's no reason to fire him. He's a fucking mouthpiece. He does what he's told, and basically he shuts the fuck up and does what he's told. That's what he is. That's what he's always going to be. He doesn't call plays. He doesn't run anything. He's Joe Paterno late in his career. That's what he is.
Is there a more useless head coach in the NFL?
He's got the best job in the world.
That's what he's there for. No other coach.
He does nothing. Like, he doesn't talk to players, go over and coach. He doesn't. No, he just stands there.
He's a head coach by name, title only. Jerry Jones calls the shots down there. It just is what it is. And I don't know if you're ever going to get a coach that'd be willing to say, you know what? But again, he's getting paid a ton of money to do it.
Yeah.
He has no legacy, and he's not a dependable guy. But I would never fire him. He does what he's told. And I'll tell you another thing. If they ever do fire him, you know who will be the next coach of the Cowboys? Jerry Jones. I bet we'll see that in our lifetime, where he will become the coach.
Correct me if I'm wrong, fellas, because I'm not 100% sure on this. Is his contract done after this year?
No, I think
you guys know that off the top of your head. That was a few years ago. I'm
not sure. I don't know if he has an extension. I think maybe just by default you get an extra year on top of it, but I'm not so sure he even has one either next year.
That's what I'm saying. So they might even, let alone, quote unquote, fire him. If they bring him back, it might have to be via extension. I think he's gone.
He's got a 5-year, $30 million contract that started in 2015.
Yeah, so it's 15, 16, 17, 18, and then
year.
Does he?
Yeah, he's got
15,
one more.
Is this the 5th year?
17, 18.
This is the 5th year then.
This would be the 5th year if you're counting 15 as
the first year. How about the beat writers that say, "Oh, if he gets fired, he'll have a job in a minute in the NFL." Who the fuck is hiring Jason Garrett to be their head coach? And I saw some people say out there like he might be linked to the Giants. Imagine Giants fans firing Shermer and getting Jason Garrett. Good Lord,
that would be great. If you're the Giants, though, you've got to go out and get Matt Rule as your head coach. I mean, he coached there before. Didn't he?
Why'd they even bring Shermer to be there?
No, Matt. The one thing I am afraid of here, Jeff, is yes, Matt Rule to the New York Giants because the precedent would be set. They would fire Gettleman's one of the worst GMs in football. He would be cleared out because Matt Rule. And I saw a beat writer actually say this, Jeff, over the weekend. Jason Garrett couldn't be fired. You're not going to be able to get one of those staunch NFL coaches in there. Maybe Matt Rule or Lincoln Riley. And it was like Jason McIntyre. I sent a tweet back to him saying like, Matt Rule and Jason and Lincoln Riley.
Jason McIntyre's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, they're going to have the pick of any job they want. So they would go to an organization where you don't have any control. Good. I couldn't even believe that it was actually tweeted out like, hey, the options would be like Matt Rule. Like Matt Rule should be able to pick whatever job he wants and let him pick his GM. And if he ends up with a team like the Giants, man, that's going to be upsetting. Or the Washington Redskins where they'd say, you know what, we're going to fire Bruce Allen. You do whatever you want. I'm like, oh, boy, here they come, man.
I will also say in that sad hacking last night, someone actually tweeted that out that they should go get Matt Rule and fire Doug Peterson. I don't know what was that all about.
No, see, it's funny. Like I like Doug because I think he showed like he has control of the locker room still because they're still fighting for him. But God damn it, if I could replace Doug Peterson with Matt Rule and the Fly, man, I would do it in a heartbeat, Jeff. I would. I
agree. What's the next question?
So you think Jason Garrett will be the coach next year?
Yes.
I don't know how do you like Jeff brings up the best point of all. You're winning, and Jerry's like, dude, I'm getting old, so I really still want to win, but there's no way I'm going to have – because remember when Parcells was in here like, Jerry, get the fuck out of my office and don't come down on the field. That didn't last long because Parcells like, I need to run this like a true football guy, not have you. And how about when they won all their Super Bowls with Jimmy Johnson? And Jimmy's like, hey, Jerry, man, stay the fuck out of this. I'm winning all this. Like, no, this is my team. Get out of here. Like, who fires Jimmy Johnson? Good Lord, man. All right, here we go. We'll skip over the one. We already talked about the penalties. How about this story that's coming out, which is so New York Jets, man. You have a guy that's sick, and he can't play in a National Football League game, but yet Saturday night before the game, Le'Veon Bell goes out to his local bowling alley and hangs out for a couple hours and bowls some games, but was inactive on Sunday. Is he a New York Jet next year, buy or sell, Ryan?
Is he a New York Jet? I'll buy that. I think he will still be there. Obviously, just a terrible look from Le'Veon Bell. But Le'Veon Bell has shown that he just kind of does what he wants, doesn't really care what anyone else thinks, and that's just the way he carries himself, and that's the way he'll continue to carry himself. So, it's pretty obvious he's kind of checked out at this point. I had him on one of my fantasy teams this year, so I was really zoned in on what he's been doing this year, and it's just been awful. What an unproductive year from Le'Veon Bell. But I think a lot of that has to do with him. But Adam Gase, just talk about another guy that's not an NFL coach. He is another terrible NFL coach. But I'll buy that, Donnie. I think Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, how about Jeff? Just to compound this, right? You had an organization that let a GM do the draft and sign their free agents, then fired the GM and brought a new guy in. And it seemed like even the head coach, nobody wanted Le'Veon Bell. He got a ton of money. Yes, he sat out a year. He still eventually cost himself some money, but technically he did win by getting the big contract. There's no explosivity from this guy. It's clear that he's on the back end of his career already, even though he's young and took a year off to keep fresh. Who would want Le'Veon Bell with that monster deal, Jeff, even if he was bounced from the Jets?
Yeah, there's a mess, and you got to feel bad for him. I mean, as Ryan alluded to, Adam Gase is a mess. I mean, what a horrific team. But
he did choose to go there.
The Jets are a brutal organization, man. If I were a fan of them, I would have to wonder why I'm still like. I saw
the Giants and the Jets.
I saw you commenting on it, Donnie. Joe Beningo got into it with a reporter on WFAN the other day about the Jets, and I mean, you got to give him the respect that he's still, rooting for them after all these years. But that's a rough team to.
It's amazing, Jeff. You see all these like big time, like, and again, you're in the New York market, so you're getting paid a lot of money. Same thing in the Philadelphia market. It's a very competitive, like sports, talk radio. Like to have guys like how does that guy like have a major voice? It's all 50. Like 1 week he's the Angelo Cataldi basically of New York, and it's amazing how it works, and they make money, man. I never understand it.
I totally agree. What's the last comment or question, Donnie?
I had the last one was NFL penalizes the New England Patriots for Spygate too, but we already covered that in the opening salvos. So
now, Donnie, I find it interesting to ask, why did we have to do that before the Eagles talk? There was no
because I was going to go off the rails for about 30 minutes with Eli, which I'm going to do. I didn't want to. That was the best topic I had. Which
I
was
see.
I didn't want to.
Okay, makes sense.
So now we can have fun. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, I think we've all kind of anchored the sentiment with the Eagles. I mean, it was cool that they won last night, but as I've said with you guys, it just papers over the cracks of some real bad issues this team has. I mean, you look at going forward even. I mean, who the hell's going to play receiver this week? I mean, you're down to Greg Ward as your only active receiver right now that doesn't have some sort of injury. Looks like Arcega-Whiteside will be back, but I mean, this is continued malpractice by the Eagles to just keep doing this stuff where you only have 3 healthy receivers. You can't trust 3 healthy receivers. You've got to dress more than 3 receivers. It's just malpractice by them. I don't really care much about the win. It's nice and all, but you and I both know, Ryan, this team isn't going to do anything in the playoffs. They're not a playoff team. They have so many problems. It really just papers over the cracks.
Yeah, no, look, the amount of injuries that this team has had, it's remarkable. I don't care who they played last night. It was remarkable that they won that game. With the offensive players that they had, Josh Perkins, Greg Ward, Boston Scott, Arcega-Whiteside, who hasn't given you anything this year. I mean, the fact that they were able to win that game. I mean, Zach Ertz was playing wide receiver there on the last 2 drives of the game. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, come on. So my big thing from last night was just, if there's one thing I could take away from that game, 1 and 1A, what Donnie alluded to it a couple minutes ago, was that it looks like the guys are still playing for Peterson, which I think is important. I think that's big to see. And then 2 is Carson Wentz. I mean, what Carson Wentz did last night, it's pretty evident that, look, get the kid some damn talent and he will win you football games. He cannot do it himself. However, he did do it last night. But look, we talked about it on our podcast, our Eagles podcast last week. Sometimes things just don't go your way. I mean, and then Lane Johnson gets hurt, and then Alshon Jeffrey gets hurt. It's just, it's clearly one of them seasons. I think David Akers even tweeted, or no, Torrey Smith actually tweeted it last night. Sometimes it's just not your season. And I think that's what's going on with the Eagles right now.
Yeah, but it seems like that's
year.
Always how it is. It seems that's always how it is. Outside of the 17 season, 18 season when they won the Super Bowl.
You realize one team can win the Super Bowl every year, right?
Yeah, but it's always like this. There's always injuries. There's always, we didn't do enough. It's always like this. This is Ryan. They haven't had a cornerback since fucking 2002. For God's sake,
I don't disagree with you.
I don't,
and it's not. Right, and it's not for lack of effort. They've tried. They've just unfortunately have swung and missed, really, really poorly.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, or I'm sorry, Donnie, this was magnified last night because they won, and we kind of forgot about it. But, I mean, Ronald Darby is a total disaster.
It's funny, Jeff, if you take it, because they only scored 17 points at Giants. Anytime you hold a team to 17, you should win the football game. Looks like they were going to get skunked last night. But what would have been interesting if you took Ronald Darby off the field and those plays didn't happen? The Giants would have 3 points and maybe you'd be all excited, but it always gets back. You're right about the corners, but the interesting part about only having 3 active wide receivers, Jeff and I talked about this earlier, Ryan, and I said my initial thought on that was Doug Peterson, you are a goddamn moron. I can't believe you're doing this. And the more I thought about it, if they had on their roster in the practice squad 5, 6, or 7 wide receivers available, they all stink, and it almost doesn't matter. And one of my tweets came out in the first half, which was absolutely blowing my mind once Alshon Jeffrey went down. You come into the season, and 12 personnel is all the rage in the NFL. You have Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, a great 1-2 combo. And I'm looking out on the field, and they're never in 12 personnel, and they're running Perkins at wide receiver. And I can't understand it because a lot of the philosophy that comes into it is well, we had a game plan package that you don't know plays where you can substitute and have 2 tight ends because you didn't work on it, have that package during the week. And now Alshon Jeffrey goes down. So you're saying, well, we weren't really going to attack with 2 tight ends, and you can't on the fly do that. It's outrageous, some of the game planning that you see in that football game, man.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it was the game-winning drive in overtime or if it was the drive that ended up tying the game at the end of the 4th quarter, but there was a 2nd and goal play where Zach Ertz and Miles Sanders, neither of them were on the field. And I was Jeff knows I was like screaming. I was like, what are they doing? It was the rollout play.
Yeah.
Wentz rolled out and the ball got batted down by Buffet. And I'm just like, why weren't they on the what? You're already struggling. Like you already are like Jeff likes to say, playing with ShopRite cashiers out there. And neither one of them are on the field. That blew my mind.
Boston Scott with a big night. Donnie, shout out to you, who you always say Boston Scott sucks.
They wouldn't even be in the NFL if the Eagles weren't where they were.
But he played well last night. Good for the kid.
They don't win that game without Boston.
No, they don't. They don't. No, they don't. They certainly don't.
You got to wonder, where do you go from here? You got to figure Jordan Matthews will be brought back yet again. I think you still have to get someone else. I don't know what they'll do. Maybe they think Mark and Michelle is enough as well.
That's what they're going to do. They're going to go the practice squad route. I'll bet my house on it.
Doug Peterson mentioned that they may go outside of the team. Where do you go? Right. I mean, there are a lot of guys on the chopping block right now as far as that don't have a team. Calvin Benjamin's still out there. Pierre Garcon's still out there. Mike Wallace, who was with this team, is still out there. Donnie, let me ask you. You know this guy, Jalen Strong. What about him? A local kid.
The hard part about it, though, is it's like we played on Monday night, and you're already having a quick turnaround till Sunday. Like if you bring in a wide receiver now, is he going to know like 3 plays for the weekend? That's the hardest part about it. The
problem with this team as well is they you seemingly have to know the entire playbook to get on the field with this team. You can't ever just. By the way, though, with Boston Scott. Ray Didinger mentioned this last night, Donnie. Do you just implement him in the offense like Darren Sproles was, and just give him all those?
You have no weapons. Like he's like literally like your most explosive weapon. Like now, I think it's pretty apparent. Like Jay Ajayi, if you need wideouts now, you got to cut him loose, and you're going to say, Miles Sanders, my first down back, second down back, and then Boston Scott turns into that satellite back like Darren Sproles used to be, and that's how you got to roll with it. There's no room for JJ. JJ doesn't do anything on this. He can't catch passes, and he can run for 3 yards. He's got to go.
He can't block either.
And he can't do anything.
He got worked on one of the sacks last night too.
By the way, is Nelson Aguilar even really injured?
I don't think so. I think he's just said, you know what? It's my last year in the league. I'm actually making like $9 or $10 million. I'm straight, and I just don't want to get hurt, so I can skateboard or whatever.
By the way, shout out to Sidney Jones, who had one snap.
One snap and a dynamic play. I couldn't even believe what I was watching. Holy cow.
How many people are we need to see more of that from Sidney. He needs to take Darby's spot.
Like that, like if you said, when the Eagles drafted him and you're like, I'm just going to show you one snapshot for 3 years into the league and say, this is the play. And like, he's a Pro Bowler. I knew he made the right move. Like it was like his best play of his career and he only had one play.
This year's been a lot of, I've never seen that before from this team. But I'll tell you, I said last week was the lowest point of lows for me as a fan. That first half last night was the most atrocious I've ever seen this team play ever. Like, they were horrific. Like, I've never seen that with them. Like, even nothing went right. Everything that went wrong.
It also goes back to and I'll just keep harping on it until I turn blue in the face. Jeff, I said something to you last night and we discussed it briefly. I mean, yes, granted, in the first half they were behind a lot. And even in the second half, so nowadays in the NFL you have to throw. But for Wentz to throw 50 times with the weapons or lack thereof that he had last night, and in a downpour pretty much the entire game, for him to throw 50 times is poor coaching.
Yeah,
and if they're playing any other team, they lose that game.
They were down 2 touchdowns, bro.
I get that, but it's a weekly problem, Donnie. They don't.
Because if you looked at the play breakdown though in the first half, at one point through 28 plays, they were 15 passes and 13 runs. But when you get down 2 touchdowns and nothing's working, and Miles Sanders is in the showers already for the entire third quarter,
I don't know. On the first touchdown drive, they committed to it with Boston Scott on the drive where he finished it off with a touchdown. So
this team ain't winning anything with Jason Peters and Big V tackle. They're just not. No. Big V's horrible. He's a horrible player. They're not winning anything. And
0.
Brandon Brooks also seemingly doesn't play as well with Lane Johnson out there. So I hate this team. I will.
Dude, they got lucky. They got lucky. They played Eli last week, and then you're looking forward to the Redskins, who suck out loud. And you say, "Boy, look at the last 2 weeks. Darius Geis is an animal. He's going to miss this football game.
So
Kerrigan's going to miss this football game." And you're saying all the stars are aligned. Yep. Eagles suck so bad, but they're actually catching breaks because Dwayne Haskins is every bit as bad as Eli Manning, but at least he can run around for a little bit. And then you're going to set it because you know the table, right, Jeff? We go down to Washington, you escape 17-14. Dallas is so much more talent. Like, they're actually bringing an NFL, even though they're not playing well, they're going to get a really good spot this week against the Rams, which they don't even have to win. But when you're going to line up man for man, how the hell can the Eagles beat the Cowboys man for man in that game? Oh my God! Oh,
they're going to kill the Eagles.
I turned to Jeff and said that last night, Donnie. I said that Cowboys are going. I said I don't know. I don't know if it would be in your plans, Jeff. But I said I don't care what the line is. I really don't care. Make the Cowboys a premium play. Send them out. Send it out now.
Yeah, because here's what you're probably looking at. Like, and again, the Dallas Cowboys are in the same funk. Like, they're going to get a really good Rams team this week. And now they open up -3. They're now getting points, the Dallas Cowboys. So let's just say the Cowboys lose. Wow. Yeah, the Cowboys lose and the Eagles win. Look at this, Cowboy. Like, dude, no, but the Cowboys can actually make a few plays. I'm not so sure the Eagles can make a few plays.
Yeah, this is it's going to be interesting. See what that line is. I don't think they have any shot, to be real honest. All right, guys, before we go, I did want to bring up one thing. College hoops tonight. We got a game in the Garden, Jimmy V Classic. We have the Texas Tech Red Raiders and the Louisville Cardinal. Donnie, Louisville is number 1 in the country.
But do we have to be in the Garden every week, man? I mean, when we done with the Garden, these games?
Yeah, they're pretty much wrapped up. Jeez. They got this Jimmy V thing that they do that you donate to and all that stuff. I guess it's Jimmy V week as I've seen. Louisville. Why is that funny, Donnie?
I don't know, because you're just ripping on Jimmy V.
I'm not ripping on Jimmy V. How did I rip on? Come on, Donnie, don't start that thing. No, I'm not ripping on him ever. I'm just busting on, like, I just get a kick out of, like, every week there's games at MSG. Like, dude, just play. I would much rather see it be in Louisville, be a much better atmosphere. Come on. Why not just make Jimmy V week a month? Like, it seems like throughout the entire basketball season anyway, they play all this stuff. So why not just make it like the quintessential go-to thing with basketball? It's Jimmy V. It's donate. Let's just do it all year. Like, why are we like doing it?
Just have Dick Vitale go city to city every game and just talk about his boy. Yeah,
sure. This is quick for me with this one. I actually kind of like Texas Tech here. I think this is a decent spot to back them. Right now, recency biases. They're not a good basketball team. They're losing games. They don't play the same defense. But Donnie, I listen to Chris Beard's press conference every time he talks.
Yeah,
and in talking and what he said, I think Ramsey plays tonight. It seems like he's getting close. I think in this kind of game he will play with this kind of opponent. I think with him they're a really good basketball team. Without him, they're not. I think if he plays, I think they can hang with Louisville. This looks like kind of maybe a down spot for the Cardinal. They haven't really been tested. I think this could be a tough spot against a really good coach who's going to be ready to go. So I would maybe look towards maybe Texas Tech tonight. I wouldn't mind getting 7 here if I could. Guan White saying St. Joe's is really bad. Temple should roll. Yeah, look, if you're laying
daily, right?
If you're laying 15 with Temple at home, no offense, but I wouldn't be doing that. This team has over the years had major issues with covering double-digit numbers, and the other night against Missouri, they were horrific. I mean, they were horrible offensively. They couldn't get anything going. Quentin Rose is continuously inconsistent. Donnie, when you're having to depend on like an Alani Moore and guys like that,
that guy.
It's just not a good.
It's not what look at the Temple team last year, Jeff. Like Quentin Rose is supposed to be the better overall prospect, right? But who kept pulling them out of the fire every single game? Was Shiz, yes.
Yeah. I mean, Shiz is huge. I mean, and look, I'm not going to say Temple's not like they're a fine team. They'll be fine. That wasn't a good game the other night. But to think that St. Joe's is just going to lay down, I mean, you got to realize this is a
big 5 game, man.
Yeah. I mean, these, I know.
Are they at the Leah Course or where are they? Are they at the Palestra tonight?
It's at Leah Course. And again, I know that St. Joe's isn't playing well. They've lost, I think, 7 in a row. But keep in mind, this is a game where you get up for. You have a new coach, and Temple, as I said, is not a good team laying big numbers. It wouldn't surprise me if they hang around. Kind of the way Donnie earlier this year, the Drexel Dragons did. Drexel ended up losing by just 8 in Liacouras Center. So I could see a similar game here. Do you guys have anything to add on this?
No, you know, Jeff, I agree with your Texas Tech look at this. You know, you're talking about tickets coming in, almost 8 out of 10 to Louisville. The line drops down a little bit, Jeff. How about this one? I don't need the points tonight, Jeff. Plus 250, give it to me.
You think they beat Louisville?
I think they beat Louisville tonight, yes.
It's a good spot. They're coming off 3. Texas Tech coming off 3 really close games, really kind of been battle tested. And Louisville, you know, they played Michigan last week, but that wasn't a close game. Not battle tested there. They've been shooting the lights out, 50% from the field, 40% from 3 on the year. I think they're in a little bit of a wake up call here for Texas Tech. I could see it, Donnie. Not sure I would roll the dice, but I could definitely see it. I would lean, however, Texas Tech, and I would grab those points for sure.
I love Chris Beard.
Give me the money. Last was what? DePaul? We went to Paul money line last week. We'll go money line on Texas Tech tonight. Get that nice.
I think it's a little crazy to say they win. I think they could, but I'd much rather have the 6.5, 7 points here. But I don't hate your pick. I mean, you're going against the best team
neutral
in the
court.
Yeah, yeah. A couple other comments. Butler seems a tad much experience. I don't know about Butler. I don't really trust them. Kamar Baldwin's playing at an All-American level, but Baylor is really good. That's a really tough matchup against a really good front line. Poker Addicted saying no comment about the officiating. We talked about it on yesterday's show, dude. It's old news. It's Tuesday. Nobody cares about what happened on Sunday anymore. Listen to yesterday's show, and we commented on it. It doesn't matter, though, Poker Addicted. They're not playing well. The officiating wasn't good. We all know that, and we talked about it, but they're not playing well. What were you going to say, Ryan?
Oh no, it was just another headline I was going to bring up, but I know we're running short.
What do you got?
So,
what do you got?
We'll save it for tomorrow. You guys, I'm surprised you didn't bring it up, Jeff. I feel like this is right down your alley and something that would kind of fire you up, so to speak. You heard about the whole Mike Vick Pro Bowl?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I was going to, and I'm glad you teased that, Ryan. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I wanted to definitely bring that up. Great reminder there. So we'll save that for tomorrow's headlines. As we start to see more and more people discuss this. I will say, though, it's an absolute travesty that people are still broken up about this. But we'll get to that, Ryan. Good reminder there. Thank you. So we'll include that one tomorrow on the show. All right, we got to go. I got to go. I got to go get a haircut. I'm sure you guys have things to do today as well. You all enjoy your day. Thank you for watching. These guys are going to go with Texas Tech plus the 6.5. Donnie likes the money line as well.
Also, Jeff, look at the chat box. My play of the day, though. Do you like that?
You're playing the Kangaroos at Kansas City.
You're goddamn right, baby.
What do you know about them and why?
Don't worry. I looked over the game today. Some stats that make sense to me. Tickets are right in this game, Jeff. Give me them.
Yeah, I mean, McNeese State sucks.
Yep, let's go. Really... Come on, we're going 2-0 tonight on that money line, baby.
I actually saw McNeese State play Richmond. They're a pretty bad team. But all right,
Donnie might be going to Panera tomorrow.
Damn right, yeah. God damn it, Miles Sanders.
Now before we go, do you guys like Texas Tech even if Ramsey doesn't play?
I'm taking him outright. Even if he doesn't play, Jeff. Without it, stand on your morals. Plus 250. Stand on it with me.
Yeah, I don't
stand on this.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm not going to stand on anything because I don't think they're that good a team without Ramsey. I think he's important. They need him in a game like this. All right, we're out of here. Have a great night. See you later, guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Peace. See you.